how necessary do you think it is, at least for a native English speaker, to speak a foreign language to work overseas? And when I say speak a foreign language, I don't mean just some high school Spanish. I mean to actually speak it well enough to work in it professionally.
Right. No, I think it's a great question. I think it's certainly something that comes up a lot, and I feel very strongly that not having a great grasp of the language of a location that you're potentially going to should not be a barrier to thinking about and accepting an opportunity in that place. I mean, I think first of all, living abroad is a great opportunity to build up those language skills if that's something that you're interested in. But I also think that especially if you're coming from an English-speaking background, you have the benefit of English being a somewhat universal language at this point, and that it's very hard to find a location where there isn't at least some basic rudimentary understanding of English, no matter where you are. And so to that extent, I think having the basic understandings of the language that you're going into is helpful, is useful, is a nice thing to build on, is something that I would recommend that one would develop once you're living in that country, but by no means should that be a barrier to actually going in. A point I also think that's relevant to think about is that it's worth thinking, what are you being hired to do? What is the value add that you would bring, especially if you're going in having spent a few years of building a career in the United States into a foreign country. And chances are you're not going there because you speak wonderful Mandarin and you're there to teach Mandarin and engage in historical precepts of Imperial China. Chances are you're there to probably speak English and help build the the English-speaking capacities of the students that you're working with, if teaching is one of the things that you're doing, or if you're engaged in advertising or in a corporate area, you're probably being recruited and working for a company because of other skills that you bring, whether it's your skills in advertising, communications, or so forth. And so, to that extent, what you're being, why you're going there, your rationale is not necessarily tied to your ability to speak the language. So I would say it shouldn't be a barrier.